Alright then, welcome to the podcast. I've got this dude, this decent geezer, Jackster. Yeah, decent guy. He knows quite a bit about Lord of the Rings. We're going to review all the Middle-earth films today. So, Lord of the Rings, Fellowship, Two Towers, Return of the King, then the 3 Hobbit films. So yeah, first things first. What did you think of Fellowship of the Ring then?
Well, I first saw it when I was like 5.
Oh shit!
So
that would have been
a bit of a special place in my heart.
That would have been like 2000. That would have been like 2004 then. Bloody hell!
Yeah, but to be honest, for its time, I think it came out in like 2001.
Yeah.
But I thought it was really good. It had some pretty good CGI.
Well, there wasn't much apart from the Balrog. I can't think of much CGI in it apart from like the Balrog. What else was CG? Gollum was, I think.
There's that cave troll. The cave troll seems pretty.
Oh yeah, and the octopus. That was CG, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, that did used to scare me, but I thought that was a pretty cool bit of the film.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, I think it had a lot of, not as much action as the other 2 films, but it definitely sort of set the story for the other 2.
100%. What would you say is good about it first, then, and then say what you think is bad about it? Because it's hard to say what's bad about the Lord of the Rings trilogy, but you know.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to give. Can I give spoilers?
Yeah, spoilers. Right? Spoilers ahead. Yeah. Oh yeah, spoiler alert. Just go and watch it. Go and watch it if you haven't watched it. But yeah, spoiler alert.
I mean, to be fair, I was pretty peed off that Boromir died.
But Sean Bean dies in everything, though.
I know. It's sort of a bit like, oh, really? But I really liked him as a character, and I think they could have sort of, I don't know, brought him out a bit more. But
it's quite funny in the strategy game. I think you can save Boromir if you want in the strategy game.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't know what really is bad about it.
I've got a few decent ones. Alright, so this is what I think. I think it's an amazing film, to be honest. There wasn't really... They tried doing a Lord of the Rings thing before, and it was all animated, and it was...
Oh, yeah, I've seen that.
You've seen the whole thing? I've seen a few highlights, and it was very, very weird. Sam was like...
I think it was like 70s or something. It was
1978, I think. But Sam was really weird, and he was going, hooray, hooray, Frodo! And it was just...
Yeah.
I have no idea what to make of it. It was just an insult to the whole thing.
It was, yeah.
I mean, no wonder, because they didn't make any sequels, did they? You know.
No, it was... Yeah, it was okay for like 70s, 80s, but the Peter Jackson films were definitely better.
A million times better. So yeah, that was the first adaptation. We're not going to talk about that, obviously, because it was just very, 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 very bizarre and weird.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
But yeah, so for 2001, I'm just going to go over a few nitpicking bad points first then. Some of the shots were a bit weird. There was one too many close-ups. A lot of films in the 2000s seem to do these really weird, awkward close-ups, which were really, really unneeded. I didn't really see the point of them. What else was bad about it? The elves, you know, when they kidnap them all and they go to the elf place, I thought that was a bit unneeded. That was a little bit...
It was a little bit. It was a bit sort of creepy, but...
It was a bit unneeded.
Yeah, I mean, especially in the books and stuff, there's the whole thing of the elves and Galadriel and all this magic-y stuff.
Yeah. I mean, we've books and novels. The way they did
it was okay. It was one of the more weird parts of the film, but it was definitely sort of added to the story.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just nitpicking at this point. I suppose that, you know, established a few things.
One other thing that I didn't like, considering it's sort of a kid's film, there's that horrible jump scene. Like, there's a bit where Bilbo just goes, rah!
It is a PG, in it, this one.
Yeah, I used to scare the heck out of me as a kid.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that was some CGI as well. That was really weird CGI. I didn't really get that.
That used to creep me out. I didn't like that.
Yeah, and maybe a few of the orcs are CGI. Probably not. A lot of them look real. I don't know.
Yeah, I think most of the orcs are like
real.
People in costumes,
what were those weird crawling ones in the There was some weird crawling goblins that were with the Balrog. I think some of them must have been CG because there were so many of them.
Yeah, I think off the top of my head, I think some of them might have been.
Yeah.
I know a lot of like the orcs and goblins were actors.
Yeah. But yeah, as I say, those are the only bad things I can think of. Good things, establishes the story really well, gets you interested, straight away. Like, I know we're not talking about The Hobbit yet, but The Hobbit, they're chilling in Bilbo's cabin for like ages, for like an hour, and it's mental. Like, you're not establishing anything. There's too many dwarves. We don't give a shit about most of them. But yeah,
and they start bloody singing, don't they? Bloody Hobbit the musical. Throwing plates and stuff around the song. Get on with the story, man.
But yeah, as I say, the pacing was amazing in this film. I liked all the adventure shit. I liked how they was all together at first, and it was just cool. I liked all the decent banter all the characters had. I liked the dialogue. Most of the characters were good. Like I say, pacing amazing. I like the council scene as well. I like how Gimli. I love how he's so in this one. Like in the other two, he becomes more comic relief, and Legolas just becomes OP. But in this one, he's just more serious, and he's like, "Let's destroy this!" And then he just blows up his axe. Amazing. And he doesn't want the ring. What else is good? I know you don't like how Boromir died, but personally, I like how they're up shit creek. Gandalf dies, Boromir dies. And Merry and Pippin are captured, and Sam and Frodo go off because they think... No, doesn't Aragorn tell Frodo to leave because he's worried they'll get tempted by the ring?
He's run, and then everything goes to shit, and then but I mean, it's almost sort of like the bad ending, and everyone's like, oh no, he died, and then he got kidnapped, and then essentially in the second one you're like, oh, actually they're okay, but.
Yeah, it made everyone want to watch the next year, though.
Yeah, exactly. But I think going on to The Hobbit, it's a bit like the second one. Sort of dodgy ending. We'll talk about that more later. But
yeah, man, Lord of the Rings, bloody the Fellowship of the Ring costed 93 million to make. Not surprised, but I like how it costed. Yeah, I like how it costed so much, but a lot of it was practical.
Jeez, I didn't know that. I know it was filmed in New Zealand, but yeah, I mean, that's a lot of like the running scenes for the hills and that. It was pretty good.
I'm trying to see how much it made. Our box office. Oh, for God's sake! It just says all three films together, 2.9 billion.
Wow, that is enormous.
Very good,
So.
especially for the early 2000s. But yeah, let's move on to Two Towers then. What? Okay. Oh wait, no. Give a rating to Fellowship of the Ring first. I'd give it a really high 4.5. It's not quite perfect, but for a 3-hour film, it's a really easy watch. Interesting characters. A really high 4.5. I mean, not 3.5. Really high 4.5.
I think for me, in comparison to the other two, I'd probably have to give it a 4 out of 5.
Fair enough.
It's still really good, but I think we'll save the best. Like next two are better, in my opinion.
Yeah. So the Two Towers, it was cool. How about you? Yeah, what did you think? An overview of the Two Towers, then what's good and bad about it?
It was... Well, it continued on from Fellowship pretty well.
Yeah.
It's more sort of... It sort of builds up to the big battle at the end. Because, Saruman builds up a big army, and then they're like, oh no, this is happening. And then Sam and Frodo are like on their way to Mordor. And stuff.
Introduction of Andy Serkis into the series. Gollum, the introduction of Andy Serkis into the series.
Yeah, that was good. He's an amazing actor. And he definitely did Gollum really well.
Because he won an award, didn't he?
It was like a CGI suit thing, but
yeah.
That was really cool. I think the way they introduced him was pretty cool. Yeah, I certainly liked it. Yeah, again, there was more pretty cool CGI. You've got the Ents. They're pretty cool. And you've got the big elephants towards the end. That's pretty neat as well. And then there's obviously the Battle of Helm's Deep, which is at the end. I think that was something ridiculous, like 70% of the film's budget went into that scene.
Not surprised, really. I'm going to look up the budget right now.
But that was a pretty cool battle. I did like that.
So yeah, I'll say what I think is a little bit bad about it. Legolas and Gimli was sort of ruined a little bit. Like Legolas was just too overpowered, but he wasn't as overpowered as he was in bloody Lord of the Rings: Return of the King. But he was a bit OP.
Yeah.
Gimli was slightly comic relief, but I can't think of anything else that was that bad really. So yeah, good stuff. The battle was amazing. Like, have you seen Game of Thrones?
Have I what? Sorry.
Have you seen Game of Thrones?
Yeah.
Well, this film shows you how to do a proper battle, because that battle with the White Walkers, it was just like it was pretty decent, but it was too dark, and certain decisions like the Dothraki, Jorah coming back from the Dothraki was a bit daft, and people surviving, all these things happening, it was just madness really. But in this, you can see what's happening. The battle's quite well done and well paced, and as I say, really easy watch considering it's like bloody 3 hours long.
True.
The budget was 94 million, this one, and the box office was nearly a billion, 926 million. So they made their bloody money back, they did.
Yeah.
Fair play to them.
Yeah, I certainly liked it. I liked it personally better than Fellowship.
Same.
Because I prefer like action and the battles and stuff, and it had more of those.
Yeah. Some people like Fellowship a bit better because of the story. Like, there's more story, more characters, and all the characters are with each other. But I'd say because of the end battle, this one was just a bit better. All the films are pretty close to each other, apart from Return of the King. That's the main standout one. But also, I like the introduction of Carl Urban into it. He's have you ever seen Star Trek? He plays McCoy in the new Star Trek films.
Yeah, I haven't watched much Star Trek, to be honest.
He was in Thor Ragnarok as well. I forgot who he played though.
All right.
He was bloody. He didn't have much of a big part in it, I don't think.
Fair enough.
But yeah, and who was not Carl Urban? I think he was an elf in it or something.
Oh,
I'll send you a picture of him.
Yeah, the elf commander. What's his name?
I'll send you a picture on Messenger quickly.
Yeah, I think I know the one.
And there was this old bloke who, the king who was like really decrepit because of worm tongue. And then, and then he was quite cool in it. Christopher Lee being in it again, that was pretty cool. I forgot to mention him in the first one. He was quite good. It was weird how he just turned heel really quickly, but fair enough.
Yeah.
That was something back to the first one. He turned heel really quick, but I can understand it. You might as well back up the big eye in the sky. That can kill everyone.
Yeah. I think he was scared more than anything. But...
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would give the film, again, an amazing, not an amazing, another really high 4.5. Better than Fellowship. Not quite, it's hard to get a 5 off of me. But yeah, a really high 4.
I think, from me, I'd have to give it 4.5.
Yeah, fairs.
Yeah.
I absolutely love the film. It's class, amazing. Yeah, brilliant. Just go and watch it, like I say. Now on to Return of the King. The only bad thing I can think of this is that they had a deleted scene where exactly Christopher Lee gets killed. Yeah. That's the only bad thing. Honestly, this film's near perfection. It is. The constant endings were a bit annoying. I just want to get the bad stuff out of the way quickly. The constant fade outs are a bit annoying, I suppose. But again, it's like the whole trilogy is like 9 hours long. You've got to, if it wasn't for that one edit, if it wasn't for the fade outs, it'd be fine. I mean, I would have hated it if it had ended with Sam and Frodo on the volcano and there was no conclusion and it was just, oh, did they die? Did they make it? I like how it...
To be continued, yeah.
Well, not to be continued, but like, what you think happened to him, you interpret. But, I don't know where... There were so many endings, I honestly forgot where it ended. I know that Frodo went off and Merry, Pippin and Sam were upset.
Yeah, Sam gets, married and stuff.
Yeah, Sam gets married, that's it.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Aragorn becomes king and marries Arwen, who's, the elf girl.
Yeah, does he go off with her, or does she... No, she stays in the normal world, because the elves get depressed if they live too long, don't they?
Yeah, because I think if there was something... I think when they thought when the One Ring got destroyed, she'd die because her life was tied to the power of One Ring or something. It explains it. I think it explains it in the books. I can't remember, but yeah. But I know she's alright. She's fine. And then Aragorn's the king, which technically makes her a queen, I guess. But yeah, it's all happy endings.
That idiot Boromir's dad who was on the throne before. I hated how Faramir got treated, but I suppose it makes you like Faramir and you're rooting for him to do well.
Yeah, I mean, he was a Denevor, his name. Yeah, he was a nutter.
Yeah, he was totally idiot. He was like, Gondor is mine! And then how does he get set on fire?
I mean, like, I don't know, he like tries to burn Faramir, and then,
weird.
I think Pippin, pushes him onto... I don't know, he's like trying to save Faramir, and then Denevor falls in, and he's like, oh, and he's on fire. And then he jumps off the top of Minas Tirith.
It makes no sense how he was able to run that far while he was on fire, but you know. I didn't like his over-the-top acting, I guess that's another nitpicking thing.
Yeah.
Didn't like the over-the-top acting. Sam and Frodo's bromance was a little bit cringy sometimes, but you know.
Yeah, I didn't like that much, and
they should have just been like good mates. They shouldn't have been like doing. I don't know. It just doesn't suit the characters. I've got no problem if they actually were, you know. But if there was like gay or whatever, but I don't. That's not the characters at the end of the day. And it wasn't in the first one. They weren't like that, but in the third one, they're like, oh Sam, Frodo, Sam, Frodo.
Oh Sam.
It was just like, for God's sake. I thought this is one big thing that everyone has beaten to death, but I'm going to say it anyway to inform people, because I haven't heard it on the internet in ages. They could have just used the Eagles from day one.
Oh, God, yeah. But there's a conspiracy theory that, like, when Gandalf falls off and he goes, fly, you fools, when they're in Moria, he means it as in, just take the Eagles, just fly. Yeah, because, like... I don't know why they're going to walk. I think they wanted to walk because it had less chance of being
because
or whatever.
I swear some YouTuber made a joke video. If they'd flown over, they would have been shot down.
You have to bear with me a minute, James. There's someone at the door.
Oh, sound mate. But yeah, as I say, they could have flown, but they probably would have got shot down. I'm trying to think what other small weaknesses. I suppose Legolas was way too overpowered and Gimli was way too much of a comedic thing in there, you know.
Right.
So yeah, we're back. One thing I want to say now, the tree people were a little bit weird, like they was only in the beginning, and when Christopher Lee's explanation for disappearing, it was like he's gone into a retirement bingo home. So...
Yeah, that did really piss me off that they cut that scene. Because there's an entire scene that lasts, I think it's like 5 minutes.
Yeah, and Wormtongue stabs him in the back.
It's like Gandalf. Gandalf says to Saruman, like, oh, there's still some good in you, you know, you can help us fight Sauron or whatever. And he's like, no. And then Wormtongue comes up behind him and, like, stabs him, and Legolas shoots him, and...
I don't know how Legolas's aim is that good, like, come on. They should have just made him 360 no-scope, people. Honestly.
Yeah. But, I mean, I think I've got the extended edition, and that is, like, arguably one of the more important scenes that they should have scrapped.
Like, they could have got rid of the Gondor bloke, or all those OP ghosts slaughtering everything, or the bloody daft elephants, or whatever, or bloody stupidness, they could have cut out one of the endings, but no. Ridiculous.
Like, you have no idea how he dies, or if he even dies, and just by watching the regular one.
Yeah. But yeah, anyway, the film's just... let's talk about some good stuff. The battles are good, character development's good for Aragorn and all that. Again, pacing's quite good, considering it's a 3-hour 20 film. I looked it up, and Fellowship is like nearly 4 hours, which is a shocker. I thought Return of the King was the long one, to be fair.
Yeah.
I'm going to look up how long Two Towers is.
I think Two Towers is not as long.
3:55, so nearly 4 hours.
Those are bloody hard, didn't they?
And Fellowship... I think it's because it's the best one. We think it's the longest because the most happens. Fellowship's 3 hours 48. Surprising the first two are longer, but they're a bit weaker, I don't know. But I think if it wasn't for the first two, establishing the characters and the story so well, we wouldn't enjoy the third one as much. We wouldn't care about as much about what's happening.
Yeah.
But yeah, just go and watch Lord of the Rings. Probably one of the best, apart from the Star Wars trilogy, probably best.
Oh, yeah.
The original trilogy, probably the best trilogy ever, if I'm being brutally honest. Reason why Star Wars gets it for me, I know this has nothing to do with it, but I just want to say, Star Wars, you compare it, their competition at the time, the only Lord of the Rings material was a crap animated film, you know. But
Yeah.
Star Wars was amazing in 1977. The original Lord of the Rings was crap, the animated one. But compare both the films, I think New Hope trumps Fellowship. Empire Strikes Back is like the best film ever, one of the best ever. Yeah. That trumps Two Towers. And obviously Return of the King trumps Return of the Jedi. So I have to give it to Star Wars. But still, both very amazing trilogies. 5 out of 5 Return of the King, 5 out of 5 amazing, one of the best films ever.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I can't, despite the deleted scenes,
the other stuff we were saying was just total
If you want to watch deleted scenes, just get the extended edition.
Exactly.
For like £10.
It's not a massive big deal, you know. A lot of this is just nitpicking for the original Lord of the Rings, but yeah. Now on to the first Hobbit. This is interesting. It's decent, you know. It's a decent film, decent laugh. So yeah, we'll spoilers for these as well. So the Hobbit is about Bilbo Baggins. I think it's him trying to go and get a stone or something, isn't it?
Yeah, he gets like hired by these
dwarves
because dwarves are like greedy and
they want loads of treasure, even though they've already got loads of. Even though they've got a massive fucking castle of treasure and they've got all those crypts of treasure, they still want more treasure. Very weird.
And they need pretty much they need someone for a suicide mission to pretty much go in and get a stone from Smaug, who's this massive dragon. And they know that if they do it, they're probably going to die. So they're like, oh, let's get a little hobbit to do it.
Yeah.
So that's that. And I think that their motive was because they want the stone. But Gandalf was like, oh yeah, Bilbo needs to go on an adventure to sort of realise his destiny and all this crap. But
yeah, Martin Freeman did an amazing job as Bilbo. He was a legend in it. It was cool to see people like Gandalf and all them back, and Christopher Lee and Hugo Weaving coming back and all that crap.
Oh yeah.
But
True.
You know, it wasn't. The pacing was awful. It took ages for the adventure to actually start, which was quite annoying, really.
Yeah, I think the unexpected journey was, to be honest, when I first watched it in the cinema, I was like, is this a musical? Because the first, like, within the first hour, you've just got dwarves throwing plates and singing in Bilbo's kitchen.
Yeah.
And I'm a bit like, what is this? This is weird, but it was more funny than Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. At least this sort of shit did actually make people laugh, you know.
Yeah. I mean, well, you had Gimli in Lord of the Rings. He was like the comic relief.
And now all the dwarves are comic relief, practically.
So 13 times for comic relief.
And you don't give a shit about any of the characters, though? That's the big problem.
Yeah, it's because you can't,
Because there's too many of them.
There is, and I can't even name all the dwarves by name.
There was bloody Keely Feely, Thorin, Big Beard,
Thorin,
Fat One. I can't remember the rest.
Bombird, fat bastard, yeah.
Fat bastard. Yeah. So yeah, to be honest, the film is. I mean, it was just a bit. I know it explained with Bilbo and what's his name? Bloody Andy Serkis, Martin Freeman and Gollum. How he got the ring. That was an alright scene.
I did like that bit because it didn't really explain that in Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. Fun fact: I did like what's it called? Actually, no, this isn't fun or good at all. Ian McKellen had a mental breakdown because you know how originally they made the Hobbits look small. It was all doubles, constant doubles, and the way it was shot and edited. Yeah. But with this, it's all green screen. So Gandalf was in a green screen room, all green, on his own, having to look around and talk to himself, pretend that people are there and talk to him. God. And he had a mental breakdown and started crying. I know it's not funny. Yeah, look it up.
Bloody hell. Didn't know that.
It's kind of funny, but at the same time, it's really sad, and I think they expected too much of him to do this sort of mentalness.
Yeah, I mean, he's a great actor, but I think he's quite old now, so he's not really used to that kind of thing.
He's more used to practical stuff, to be fair.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah, to be honest, I'd give the film probably a low 4.
Yeah.
A really low 4. Because it was really long and a bit boring, but it was still quite good and enjoyable. Like, not a really, really hard watch. It was still really, really watchable, you know.
Yeah, it was funny. It was kind of interesting, and there was a bit of action in it.
Mm-hmm.
I'd give it a high 3, maybe 3.7.
Yeah.
But yeah,
fair enough. So yeah, next film is Desolation of Smaug. This one is really, really good. I mean, to be honest, Gandalf runs off and does his own thing, and you get to see him and Saruman brawl it out, and Gandalf's fighting a massive shadow thing, and he's fighting all the massive orcs.
Yeah, I liked that a lot, because that sort of it sort of ties into Lord of the Rings again, where they're like, because originally from watching Unexpected Journey, you're like, just off to kill a dragon, nothing important, right? But then in Desolation of Smaug, you're like, actually, there's something even worse than a dragon. It's Sauron.
The big eye, yeah.
Yeah, and Gandalf's like, oh shit, it's Sauron, he's back. And yeah, that's pretty cool. It's like a big reveal.
Yeah. To be honest, some of Lord of the Rings did better than The Hobbit, though. They showed a backstory straight away. In Unexpected Journey, I can't really recall a backstory. I know Frodo comes in and talks to Bilbo about stuff, and Bilbo's like, I wrote this story. And that was it, really.
Yeah.
Is that set after or before Lord of the Rings? Where that first Bilbo scene?
I think that's set at the beginning of Fellowship of the Ring.
Oh, yeah, it must be, because otherwise... Because didn't Bilbo and Frodo go off to the Thingy Land? Oh, yeah. The bloody...
at the end?
Yeah, they went off, so it couldn't have been after Lord of the Rings. Yeah, it was before, like you said.
It was before... It was well before Frodo has to go to Mordor. It was before he even knew about that. So I'm pretty sure it's like right at the beginning of... Oh no, because it's on Bilbo's birthday.
Oh, yeah. So it was a few hours before Gandalf came in and they smoke weed together.
The morning of Fellowship of the Ring.
Yeah.
Just before Gandalf rose.
So yeah, Desolation of Smaug though. I like the spider fighting scene, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I like that.
And the cool thing is Bilbo can hear the spider talk with a ring on.
Yeah, that's just more magic stuff. It's like, just adds more atmosphere, I guess. Just talking spiders in a forest, spooky.
Yeah. I really like the what's that guy's name? The dude who has a family, a fisherman on the sea village.
Bard.
Yeah.
Bowman.
Bard was a top geezer, man. Well, he was still alive by the end of it, but he was a cool guy. Yeah. Really top lad. In the film, it's quite funny how none of them, apart from the dude with the big grape, well, even he doesn't really care about Martin Freeman's life. They're just like, go in there and take on the dragon.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, yeah. It was... And the ending of Desolation of Smaug, by the way, was amazing.
Yeah, really good cliffhanger.
Everyone did that really well, because they have the big fight against the dragon, and then... Yeah,
they did well against Smaug, to be fair, the dwarves did.
The dragon wakes up again.
They did quite well against Smaug.
Yeah, and then he just flies off towards Lake Town.
Yeah.
And it just shows Bilbo going, oh my god, what have we done? And it's cuts to black. It's like, oh shit, something bad's going to happen in the next film.
Yeah. I mean, they're just idiots, really, if I'm being brutally honest. I'm not saying this is a bad thing, you know, the story's fine. I mean, the thing is, the original story, though, the book, was meant to be for his son, J.R.R. Tolkien's son. It was meant to be a kid's book, for goodness sake. It wasn't meant to be, a big, you know, grand scheme, amazing thing, was it? It was just meant to be a little normal story, and I just think the elves were morons, to be honest, because you have all that gold and everything, why just go in for one stone? And Thorin ends up getting the stone, but then he bloody... it makes him go mental, like the Ring
Yeah.
does.
It's like a typical, like, don't be greedy. You know, it's like it's almost got a moral behind it.
Yeah,
It's like,
I suppose.
but
But I
Yeah,
just thought, like, what are these dwarves doing? They're risking their life for a silly little stone when they could have just picked up. They could have kept coming in and out and getting loads of gold. They could have been the richest people in Middle Earth if they'd just played their card right. Invest in Saruman's businesses, bloody invest in the Shire. You know,
yeah.
could have done really well, but no, absolutely wrecked. Yeah, but like I say, really good film. Solid 4 for me. Probably a great 4 to be fair.
Yeah, I'm going to give it 4.5 because
Oh,
I
fair
really
enough.
liked it. I thought it had a lot of good sort of tense moments, especially with like the Gandalf and Saruman side of things. That was pretty cool, and then the ending was just amazing.
Yeah.
So I really liked it.
Now we're on to the worst film of Middle Earth series. Battle of Five
Armies.
Yeah, Battle of Five Armies. Just too much CG. Legolas breaking.
Terrible.
Yeah.
It was. I don't know. I know it had a lot of mixed reviews. Personally, when I saw it, I thought it was pretty good. I mean, it wasn't like Return of the King level amazing, but it was, it rounded off the story relatively well. And it sort of shows the characters. I mean, Thorin dies, and it's like, well, you deserve that, you greedy bastard, but...
I mean, at least he realises when he's wrong, when he's like, I brought you into such peril. And then Martin Freeman's like, no, I'm happy to share in your peril. I'm happy to go on a suicide mission that I barely escaped.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Honestly. Keely and Feely die as well. I didn't really care about, was it Feely's romance with that woman elf? I didn't care. Wasn't bothered. Wasn't like Aragorn and that other person. Boring.
That was a bit weird, but,
I suppose it was just to bring the elves and the dwarfs together, I guess.
Yeah, you've got to have a bit of romance in there somewhere. But...
Yeah.
Okay.
The comedy, what was his name? We didn't even mention this dude, the fat mayor of the village, his assistant, dressing up as a woman. And honestly, they should...
yeah, that was Stephen Fry, wasn't it, playing that?
Oh, was it?
Yeah. It was,
I didn't even know it was fair play to Stephen Fry. He played that quite well. Because it was quite a funny character, but I didn't like his assistant that much.
Yeah, the assistant was...
The fat mayor's assistant was just like... He should have died when Stephen Fry got crushed by the dragon on his boat.
Yeah.
He should have died then. I don't see the point of the assistant being around. It was cringy, comic relief, probably nearly as low as Jar Jar Binks level. Like, at least Jar Jar Binks stuff, it was in the 90s. But this film's and it wasn't Phantom Menace like a PG. They were trying to aim it at kids. This is meant to be aimed at teenagers and adults. And you don't have some bloke pretending to be a woman to get out of a battle. You don't.
Yeah, that's some Pirates of the Caribbean level humour.
Well, mind you, first Pirates of the Caribbean was quite good, but the other lot were. They were entertaining, but they weren't. For me personally, they were entertaining, but they weren't good. I haven't bothered watching the fifth one, but anyway, that's another video for another time.
True. Yeah.
Yeah, I just thought Battle of Five Armies was really, really weird. I didn't care. I wasn't bothered. I guess it wrapped it up quite well. The battles were cool, but it just felt like a really, really long, massive battle. All the dwarves and elves were...
Yeah.
Wasn't it...
That is... I mean, it isn't a name, I guess. It's just a film about a big battle between a group of people who are sort of fighting over the same thing.
Yeah. I just felt too much CG. Too much CGI as well,
Oh, yeah.
Way too much.
The army of pigs or whatever it was. Yeah. Dane with his hogs. That was quite cool.
I suppose, yeah, it was cool to see all the dwarves in action, to be fair.
Yeah.
I guess, even though Thorin was a prick and he sort of deserved it, I did like that final brawl between them two, because I prefer brawls, like, between a good protagonist and antagonist when it's just a few of them. Like, even in Endgame, I liked it better when Captain America, Thor and Iron Man were taking on Thanos. I still liked it when all the other people came back, but I just prefer it because you can see more emotion, there's more grit, there's more characters
Yeah,
in there. You get to know more what's going on rather than just a chaotic, massive battle.
that's true. And there's also that bit with what's his name? There's that like massive orc. He's like an assassin or something. Not Azog, the main one.
The other
there's
one.
like this other one.
Can't even remember
him. Him and Leg. Yeah, I can't remember what his name is, but him and Legolas have like a duel at the end, and that's just weird.
Yeah, he won, didn't he, Legolas? Or was it close?
Yeah, Legolas had sort of plot armor because obviously he's in Lord of the Rings, so you knew for a fact he wasn't going to die.
Yeah.
But he was just showing off in that. There's like a bit when all the bricks are falling and he's just jumping off the bricks.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's just surreal, but yeah. It was good.
I personally give it like a bit, like a decent 3.5.
Yeah. I think. Yeah, I'll probably go with a 4.
No, fair enough.
It was good, but it did have its sort of flaws. I mean, it was a good film, but not essentially a brilliant Lord of the Rings style film, a Middle-earth film.
It was just a cheeky medieval fantasy mental battle, but with an okay story, I guess. Decent acting in some parts.
Yeah, but I mean, I definitely enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm. I think we can leave it there. Anything else you want to say? Do you want to say some cheeky stuff about the books or anything? A few little things, or...
Oh, well, I read the books when I was like 10.
Oh, shit, all of them?
And I know that, especially with The Hobbit, they sort of went off track a lot from the actual book.
Oh.
In the film, I mean, Legolas isn't in the book, but they added him just because...
Or to give Orlando Bloom something to do.
Yeah, that's true. And they thought, oh, I know, let's make people watch it. Let's put a famous actor in there. I don't know, but Legolas just being a badass again, but whatever.
Yeah. Fair enough then, we can leave it there. Decent review, pretty decent banter. Thanks for coming on, Jack.
That's right, thanks for having me.
Yeah. See you then, thanks for watching.
Cool, no problem. See ya.